rate of $10 a month. No commitment, no deposit, no installation fee. Plus, get an in-home Wi-Fi gateway at no extra cost. Call 1-855-220-5211 or visit att.com/aware to learn more.
SNAP refers to the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SSI refers to the Federal Supplemental Security Income Program. Pricing excludes taxes and fees. Service will include a monthly data allowance depending on the type and speed of service you receive. If you exceed your monthly data plan allowance, you will be automatically charged $10 for each 50 gigabytes of data usage in excess of your data plan, even if less than 50 gigabytes is used. For details about data allowances, go to att.com/internet-usage. Wi-Fi enabled device required. Other restrictions apply.
If you're behind, and you know you're behind in your savings, you know you're behind from retirement, you haven't got enough retirement money, you're getting worried, and nobody helped you today. Did anybody help you today? Were you able to go to your mobile device today and say, what should I do with my stock? Did anybody do a video for you today? Did your planner, did your money manager, did the guy that's running your 401k, did he do a video for you today 3 times during the day, tell you exactly what to do with the stocks we're in? No. Now, when you join the gang, you can decide what you want to participate in. You can have the full schooling where you come to our class on a daily basis. That's done over the internet, of course. Or if you're a person that says, I just want you to make money for me because I don't have time to learn, and I have a program for that. And that's called my video stock program. So when the market goes up, you're going to make money. When the market goes down, you're going to make money.
Join Phil's Gang today and go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us if you want Viagra at the lowest prices. Never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-357-1583 today to save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-357-1583 to take your call now. Call 800-357-1583. That's 800-357-1583. Again, 800-357-1583.
I'm finally getting my abs back thanks to TC1 Gel. I gained some inches around the belly last year and the holidays didn't help either. But then I discovered TC1 Gel and now 2019 is the year of my abs returning. TC1 Gel is a thermogenic gel that you rub on your waist 15 minutes before exercising. Then simply put on the TC1 sweat belt and start your workout. You'll sweat like crazy and feel the burn. It focuses on boosting circulation, increasing perspiration, activates body heat, reduces muscle fatigue, and burns off more calories. Get your TC1 Gel now. Go to tc1gel.com and use the code RADIO30 for a 30% discount on this amazing product. Again, RADIO30 is a code for 30% off the regular low price of TC1 Gel. You can also go to www.tc followed by the numeral 1 gel.com. That's TC number 1 gel.com. tc1gel.com. Get rid of a few inches and get your abs back with TC1 Gel. Also, follow them on Instagram, handle TC1 Gel.
KCAA.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side, where the birds and the bees survive. Right before me, my newfound hippie side once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart. Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Would your children ride to see Mother Nature's side?
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Elaine McFadden, and I'm your host. I'm also a registered dietitian with a master's in public health, and so you can bet that I'm pretty interested in a lot that's going on with the health care bill, our farm bill, different policies that are being passed related to air quality, water quality, soil quality, because all of these things encompass public health. And when we take steps to clean those up, there's a direct relation by how many people get sick. And it is just amazing how many people die just from air pollution. We're talking millions of people. And yet, we're actually letting up on air pollution regulations. Not just air pollution, but water pollution as well. And one good thing is we have coal plants closing. But on the other side of it, we had actually a rise in our air quality as far as like it's getting worse. It was the first year that it got worse in a really long time. So this is what happens when we start to let go of regulations. And there's been quite a few things that have been happening over the past week. We're going to go through some in the news type things. I've been busy trying to work on getting some more Think Before You Buy. And we have Nick. Hey, Nick, how's it going?
It is going. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
I can tell you've got a spring in your step today.
Yeah, I am feeling really good. And I did do a yoga class this week.
Oh, that'll do it.
You know what? It felt fantastic. It was a very simple yoga class. They have it. It's on like the public channel, like Channel 1 or something like that. Whatever one that is. But I just programmed to like tape all of them. So I have like 47 episodes. Some of them may be duplicates. I don't know. But I really loved it. You just sat in a chair and it was mostly working like your upper body and well, you did a little bit for your lower body, especially with the stretches, but really a lot of stretches for your neck and shoulders. And these were things, because you're doing them in a chair, so many people could be doing that, just taking a little break, you know, like what I used to do. I used to actually bring a jump rope and my weights to my work at a WIC office.
Oh, wow.
And my lunch hour that I got, instead of stuffing my face, I would actually go like jump rope and lift weights. And a lot of people don't know this, but okay, I kind of gave it, but I kind of gave you a hint there, but I'll ask the question anyway, Nick. What do you think is the #1 best exercise for building bone?
For building bone?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to go back to what you said so I can get to this hint.
Okay.
Well, I would imagine, lift weights is good for the muscles. I suppose it's probably good for the bone as well.
Weight-bearing exercise is very valuable.
Yeah, it would add some bone density, wouldn't it?
It's actually more for the muscle. You were right, yeah. Actually, it's jumping.
Oh, okay.
Just the act of jumping up and down. And this is actually a serious issue because it's something like 14% of teens are getting enough calcium because when you're a teen, there's a window where you store calcium, and you store a lot when you're a teen, and then it slows off and it goes, supposedly it's supposed to be zip at 35. I don't know if that's absolute, but the window's big when you're a teen, and then it starts to slow off. So if you're not getting all those calcium stores for the rest of your life when you're a teen, then you're kind of like you're not sitting too good in the calcium department.
That makes sense.
And people don't realize, I mean, calcium is part of like every single cell in your body. Your heart can't beat without it. Your muscles can't contract without it. And it's part of how your cells communicate. It helps to do that. there's a long list of things that calcium does. And of course, you can get calcium from greens. That's a really good source. A lot of people, that's the vegan source. You know, you can get greens. You can have calcium fortified foods. I choose to get mine from greens and then dairy. I eat like nuts, you know, those kind of things. I love nuts because you get actually almonds are high in calcium.
Right. Yeah. I've actually have made it a point this year to add almonds to my regular diet. I've added it to my breakfast and my lunch. And a lot of that is because I wasn't getting enough calcium in my diet. And there's a lot of omega-3s in that, correct?
Yes, I was going to mention that. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, and that's critical. People are not getting their omega-3s anymore. It used to be that all cows were pasture raised. Then they started with this corn-fed thing. And, speaking of corn, I mean, how many people out there, I'd like to give like a diet tip here. We had a diet tip last week, and that was our pea soup because it's high in fiber, very filling, and it's economical as well. This diet tip, first of all, by getting there's studies that came out that showed that if you eat dairy, because I know vegans, I get mine from a local farmer. He's super excited because his herd is now one larger. They're up to 3. They had a calf, okay? They had a calf, and now they have 3. And I love being a part of helping to build his business. He wants to reach out into the community and help other people learn how to start a small dairy. You know, he just has a small dairy. He's got a plot of grassland that he, keeps the cows on. And, I'm sure he feeds them extra organic grain. The best milk ever. And I tell you, that kind of, it's these good fats. See, this is a diet tip for everyone, because when you're eating fast food and junk food and all this, you're actually putting these poisonous fats into your body. And when you start building your body out of these lower quality poisonous fats, your body, it's probably taking up an omega-3 slot. Omega-3s are critical in your brain. If you're not getting enough omega-3s, then that slot where the omega-3s is supposed to be is actually being taken up by some lower quality fat. And so when you try to use your brain and the thoughts aren't happening quite as quickly, you could be a little bit low in omega-3s there. Now, we just ordered a couple $100 worth of fish from Alaskan Seafood. It is such a good deal when you do it that way. Our freezer is full of halibut, wild salmon. You have to, and with the nut thing too. My diet tip was to make sure you get a lot of omega-3s. There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Because there's so many things I want to tell you. I want to save your life. I want you to feel healthy and energetic and happy and look great. But the nut thing, before I forget, I want to give you a tip on the nuts, because a lot of people don't realize that there's some law in California because of bad farming practices. This stuff happens when we're using conventional practices. We've got contaminated water from factory farms, whether it's dairy or cattle or whatever, getting into the irrigation system. On Saturday Night Live, I was so excited they covered a food issue on Saturday Night Live. They talked about the diarrhea that people got from eating salad. It's like, yeah, that's the problem, people. This is definitely the problem. That's why you go to the farmer's market, buy Farmer Direct. Chances are that's not going to happen, okay? Because that's in these big, giant farms. That's why we want to go buy from our local farmer. But nuts, I'm pretty passionate about this, because nuts are such an important food. They're just packed with so many different things. We were talking about the calcium in almonds, but of course there's protein and fiber, omega-3s, all these great things. Well, when you start eating these fats, your body will start replacing. When you start eating these good fats, your body will start replacing those bad fats out with the good fats. And that's why when people were, they found that dairy can actually help. But the thing is, if you're eating this conventional dairy that came from factory farms where they used all kinds of feed that had pesticides in it, Roundup, which we know causes cancer, is used all the time. And they feed cotton seeds to the cattle, and cotton seeds, cotton has the worst pesticides of all. They use the most pesticides of any other crop, plus the worst of all. And we talked about it, and I actually talk about that in our Think Before You Buy, which we're going to play for you here in just a minute. So if you want to have a flat stomach, you need to start getting some good fats in your body. And that's why I buy like the organic pasture butter, which is full of omega-3s. And I can definitely tell a difference, since I've been very committed and doing this for a while, that you'll see that the fat in your body starts shifting around. And that fat is full of pesticides. And it can cause, a lot of times there's like hormone disruptors, plus they're feeding these cows antibiotics all the time. We just have a major, major antibiotic problem because people are taking them, they're in their food, they're in the meat, they're actually in the water. I mean, this is ridiculous, the antibiotics. And we've been warning. They use antibiotics to get the animals to get fat faster. That's why they give them. They give them to the chickens every single day because they get fat faster. So when you're using antibiotics and you've disrupted your gut bacteria, guess what? Adds to your weight gain. So the fats that you're eating, those are critical. You want good fats. You don't want to be fat. Eat good fats. Okay, quit eating the junk fats. And those of you out there doing the paleo, keto diets where you're eating a lot of these animal products, this is really going to have a long-term effect on you. You may get short-term benefits, but there will be a long-term price to pay. So try to get the good fats, try to get good nuts. And what is a good nut? Well, unfortunately, this law in California that they passed requires them to steam even raw organic nuts. So even if it's a raw nut, they're heating it or irradiating it because of a law. Well, apparently people can get away with it on Amazon. And it's just been so hard because you can't even hardly find raw organic nuts. And trust me, you want organic. You don't want to be drinking silk almond milk that's not organic. And you can just make your own. I have some great recipes on Pinterest, but you can find them yourself. Nut milk is not rocket science. It's one of the easiest things. You mainly just soak the nuts, blend them. You can strain them if you don't want to have all the extra skins in there. I mean, you're pretty much paying Zilk just to take the skins off. For 1 cup, you're getting 2 almonds, maybe 3. Big deal. Anyway, if you go to Amazon, unfortunately, this is where we're going to have to find it now, but that's one of the good things about Amazon is you can find organic things that you can't find other places. I just bought a big bag of organic pecans. And my grandmother, we always had fresh nuts. We lived in a place where there was nut trees. My grandpa would sit there cracking those nuts for my grandma for hours because she'd make all kinds of good stuff with it. So he was motivated because cookies and all that good stuff. It's okay, I crack these nuts, I get the goodies, okay? So he was pretty obedient about that. But I know what a real fresh nut tastes like because I ate a lot of those nuts. And when you get a steamed nut, you can tell it's just not the same. And I'll tell you what the difference is. When you crack open a nut, there's this coating on the nut. It's not, it's almost like a little bit hard, like a crunchy kind of a coating on the outside of the nut when it's a fresh nut right out of the shell. And trust me, all those little things have their own special set of nutrients. Just like when you eat an orange, you think, oh, it's the orange that has all the nutrition. No, actually, it's that white pithy stuff in the orange is where the most concentrated nutrition is of all. So when you eat the orange, you may want to make sure that if you leave some of that pithy stuff on, if you cut the skin off, leave some of the pithy stuff on. Or if you cut the skin off, take that piece of skin, if it's nice and clean and organic orange, you can just take and kind of scrape it with your teeth and get the last of the orange and get some of the pithy stuff at the same time. But it's like taking a vitamin pill, but like 1,000 times better. So those nuts, I could tell, those pecans that I got, I could tell that they weren't steamed. They said they weren't. They were wild pecans. So I trusted that they're probably really good. And it was like $57 for those nuts. But there were so many pecans, and they're all shelled, perfect halves. I mean, I just can't even imagine sitting and cracking open all those pecans. For $60, that bag was huge. And that was a lot of pecans. I mean, protein is such an important source. That's the hard thing for us to get, the good quality proteins. And of course, milk, dairy products have protein. That's a really good source. Nuts, a lot of protein. I get I buy my tuna by the case, Safe Catch or Wild Planet on Amazon as well, because those companies test their fish. I don't trust other canned fish. I've said it on this show before. I actually had a student that I worked with that at one of the places we were targeting, a low-income school, and she had a baby. She was a teen. That baby did nothing but lay there. It was alive. It could breathe. But it's called failure to thrive. And that woman, I will never forget her, ever, because I thought, I'm so grateful that I learned this at least. She was eating white fish multiple days per week during her pregnancy. I highly advise against that. That led to a high intake of mercury, which affected the baby. Mercury poisoning is a very real thing. And the bigger the fish, the more mercury. And you need to know, we all need to relearn. We think red snapper is not even out there anymore. If you see red snapper on the menu, it's probably fraud. It's probably a lie and a cheaper piece of fish. If you go to smarthealthtalk.com and you go to our resource section, we have so much information there along with our news section, and well, all our pages are pretty informative, but the resource section, we have a huge recycling, seafood, organic snacks section, so many different things about aspartame, sulfates, organic wines. We have all different kinds of information in there, and seafood is a huge section of ours because we really have to be good, smart consumers. And that's why we started this show. We want people to be a smart shopper. And it's really hard to protect yourself if you don't even know that you're being attacked. You don't even know that there's a threat. And there are so many threats out there that people don't know they're being exposed to all the time. Now, if we buy seafood that's the type of seafood that multiplies quickly, then guess what? That is sustainable. That's a sustainable kind of fish. That's what we want to buy. And we have to know what that is. And that's why I love buying, from the Alaska. Alaska actually is a model for the rest of the world on how to raise fish. They have set up a system there where from the very beginning, from when the fish are first born, everything along the line is set up to be pristine. Now, I was really worried about, the big, nuclear power plant, Fukushima, and all the radiation that's been going in the ocean because of that and the currents. I was kind of worried that maybe the Alaskan seafood had been contaminated. So I did spend time doing research on that. And I spent a couple hours, and everything I could find said that it tested negative for radiation. So Looks like I think there was like a couple of just like tiny little blips like right after, but other than that, we've had some pretty positive results as far as like no radiation poisoning in Alaskan seafood. And when you buy bulk like that, you really do save. And I've recommended like the split peas. I bought those in bulk to make my soup. I had such a huge pot and I freeze half of it. I just made pinto beans this week. And then we were still eating on the chicken that I was talking about last week. And I finally made those dumplings. Yeah, I made some like the chicken and dumplings, and I just took the broth and cooked up some celery and onions and some olive oil and butter and put that in there and mixed the flour and some milk together and put it through a strainer. That made it kind of a stew. That's how you make kind of a stew quality. And then dumplings are pretty easy. Nothing but salt, shortening, flour, and milk. And you just spoon them in there and cook them. And I tell you, I don't have to ask twice to see if anyone wants some of those. They go pretty quick. And that was from homemade broth that I made from chicken bones that I had left over from a whole chicken that we cooked. So this is, people think that they can't afford organic, but actually you can. Okay, there were so many other things happening in the news. I did on my Facebook, you can find me at Elaine McFadden or Smart Health Talk. I did post something that I think a lot of people don't think about. It was a graphic that I made about how GMOs actually trigger allergic reactions. People are like, oh, GMOs are safe. Some people out there. Oh, they're safe, you know, because our government says, when we know that these companies have been lying, we know the government has been influenced, I'll put it that way. So, you know, we should be skeptical. Why would anyone completely trust the government with their life? You know, you think that you can trust them for every single thing that they do? That they're not influenced, that those employees are not influenced by big multinational corporations that have millions to make off of these things? Heck yeah, they are. You know, they're influenced, okay? And so inflammation is something that it can be the root cause of virtually every disease. It can start there. And we have so many things causing inflammation in our body. All these sodas that we're drinking, those toxic oils that I was talking about, all of these things are adding to this imbalance in our body. Now, people get allergies. We have an epidemic of allergies as well. I'm sure someone listening to this broadcast has somebody that they know that suffers from allergies. And I just can't even imagine how horrible that must be. All the time, your nose running, not being able to breathe, sneezing. It must be just miserable, because I know I felt that way when I had a cold, and I can't imagine that being my life all the time. Those migraine sufferers, I really feel for them. And anyone that is, I highly recommend that you get on an all-organic diet. You know, you have to try these things because, you know, what are you going to be dependent on? You know, maybe they come out with a drug, but is that really the answer that we're looking for? To me, a lot of these things is our body trying to tell us that something is not, we're not doing something right. And it could be something physical that happened over years of this type of eating or lifestyle. It could be genetic. We don't know with some people, but we do know that lifestyle is the #1 biggest influencer of whether you get sick or not and how long you live. So I like kind of packing the odds in my favor. And now GMOs. People think that they're safe. Well, I talked to Dr. Michael Hansen, and he told me that he was writing a letter to the Senate because they were going to start working on GMO labeling bill. This was about 1.5 years ago. And he said they wanted to know if GMO proteins were in processed foods, including oils. And he was going to tell them yes. Well, these GMO proteins, these were man-made. The proteins that we eat in our environment, we evolved with them, and they don't cause an allergic reaction. So that's why when you get off of those foods, and the oils are some of the worst. And they asked him, are there GMO proteins in these oils? Yes, there are. I'll say it again. So you're constantly eating foods that have these GMO particles in them, and they're going into your body. And as your body's like trying to deal with them, it's like, what is this? We do not know what this is. We do not recognize this whatsoever. And so immediately it's causing an inflammatory response because your body it's reacting as it's a foreign invader. So try to clean up your diet. Do we have that video ready? Okay, we are working. I have been reviewing lots of commercials because I feel like these are big influencers on people and they're not being truthful. Consumers are being misled. So please come and join us on YouTube because I'm going to be adding more of these. I just finished another one today and we're going to play it for you right now. If you go to KCAARadio.com, you can watch the video along with as we listen to it. And remember, you can always find our podcast on iHeartRadio and our videos on YouTube. Okay, go ahead and play that, Nick. Think before you buy. Johnson & Johnson baby products. Johnson & Johnson just had a major lawsuit that came after them for ovarian cancer claims, asbestos in their powder products, and it ended up with a $4.7 billion lawsuit settlement. What are they doing now?
Gentle means everything, so we improved everything. We used 50% fewer ingredients.
Let's look at those ingredients. Let's start with this bedtime bath product for babies. When we look at the ingredient label, we can see it's full of nothing but synthetic chemicals, including GMOs. Here's another product that's supposed to have a soothing vapor. Well, what is that vapor from? We did find one little reference to a methyl product there. Cotton. This actually has cotton in the product, which is a huge red flag. Not only do cotton products have the most pesticides, but the worst, the most hazardous pesticides of all. We took Babu Botanicals and we looked at their ingredients. None of those ingredients are in the Johnson's product. These are all true natural organic ingredients. What else?
Added one-handed pumps.
We don't even know what that is. And after all this, you guys are just offering a one-handed pump? What else?
And beat the top safety standard.
We have a question. What safety standards and who issued them?
The new Johnsons. Choose gentle.
How gentle is it? Well, here we go, looking at their powder that the big lawsuit was all about. Z-maize cornstarch. We looked it up. It's just cornstarch. It's GMO. We know that. What else? What other kind of great ingredients do we have here? Okay, fragrance. Fragrance, fragrance. Okay, in all of these products, and that one has talc. Does it have asbestos? Okay, the fragrance. The base of their fragrance are all those ingredients. Then they add other chemicals if they want different flavors. If you want the powdery musk, it takes all of those chemicals. We looked at baby Organics and looked at some of their ingredients. We see that pretty much every single one is plant-based. And when it comes to fragrance, those are all plant-based, not chemicals. They're also organic, which we recommend that you buy. Know the facts before you buy. Check us out at smarthealthtalk.com, subscribe to us on YouTube, and please go visit our Blue Monarch project and find out what we're doing with the monarch butterflies. Okay, everyone, that was our review of Johnson's baby products. Never bought them for my two children. That was over 30 years ago. and glad that I never bought them, especially since the powder causes ovarian cancer, that they were out there having people use on babies. And I guess people kept using it shower to shower. They used to advertise that, you don't want to stink. You need to use shower to shower. Well, in the meantime, it's given people ovarian cancer because it had asbestos in it. I don't know. There's nothing on their product, the talc product, that says there's no asbestos in there. And then they even had an aloe product, said aloe with vitamin E. And I look on the ingredients, and there's not one single mention of aloe or vitamin E on the ingredient list. Okay? It's like, this drives me insane. Okay? This is totally ripping off people. But not just that. They're putting this on their baby's skin. All that was a bunch of chemicals in those products. Nothing that said like it came from a plant oil or anything like that. I guarantee the profit margin on those products, I don't know, it's probably like 5,000% or something, because those things are so cheap. And just like the vitamins that they put in these different food products. Oh, Special K getting 100% of your daily requirement. But when you look at the list and you look at the ingredients, those ingredients are nothing but cheap chemicals. And things like folic acid is a cheap form of folate that is nowhere near the same. And Dr. Seneff even explained to us that the folic acid is actually another toxic chemical that your body cannot make it into folic acid like it needs to. And so it's actually a negative in your body. Get your folic acid from greens, from eating organic fruits and vegetables. That's how you get folate, the one that you need, the one that for pregnant women prevents birth defects, spina bifida. That folate is so important. When was the last time you went to a farmer's market? I cannot stress that enough. I tell you, the kale that I got there last week, all I'm going to do is I like to take it off the stalk. I don't like the stem very much. Some people like the stem. I just cut it up, just kind of slice it up in smaller pieces, melt some of that grass-fed butter in a pan, maybe put a little bit of olive oil in there too, put those pieces of kale in there, a little bit of maybe chicken broth or water. You can use either one, or you could use vegetable broth if you're vegan. And then you don't need a lot of the liquid. And then just put some spices in there, salt and pepper, and maybe some red pepper, something like that. And then put the lid on it and put it on low heat and just let it cook for like 10 minutes. Done. That's it. And you can serve kale. You know, they did a study where they put kale on a hamburger instead of lettuce and fed it to kids. And what do you think happened? Do you think they went, ew, I'm not going to eat that kale? No, that wasn't what happened. All the kids said was it tasted more green. That's it. You know? And trust me, kale has way more nutrition than a piece of lettuce. So these are so many little ways that you can start to slip those vegetables into your meals for your family. And I do this all the time. You know, if I make chili, whether it's Amy's chili that I'm getting out of the can and adding my own ingredients to it, or I'm totally wiped, I'm tired, I'm just throwing that can of chili in the pan and heating it up. Well, you can go and grab some frozen vegetables and just throw those in there. Get the mixed vegetables. I buy those all the time. And you just put those in, or just corn or peas, and add those to the chili. Add zucchini and peppers to your spaghetti sauce. Of course, that's not the time of year yet, but what is in season? What kind of things should you be planting right now for your garden? What kind of plants could you plant around other plants, companion planting, that will actually help bring beneficials and prevent bugs in your garden? And they could even help each other out by unlocking nutrients that the other one likes. We have a huge section of gardening on our smarthealthtalk.com website. and we have all the information. And if you eat seasonally, a good chance it's going to be cheaper. Okay? So go check that out on our website as well. And we have a huge organic treat section. You probably don't know about a lot of these products. We've done product reviews on our show that are up on YouTube. Those could really help you out as well. And Roundup. Have you guys noticed that they're not playing those Roundup commercials anymore to go kill those evil dandelions in your yard? Well, that was especially in California. I don't know about the rest of the country, but after the big lawsuit that Monsanto lost because it came out during the trial that they had been lying to people the entire time. Dr. Benbrook, we have some really great videos of him. He testified at the actual trial as a scientist and expert on Roundup. And he said that things came out in the trial about how they'd known it caused cancer for decades. They knew this, okay? They had emails where they were conspiring to hide it from everyone. I mean, these people, they don't want to give up they don't want to give up the money. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care if they hurt your family. They don't care if your child gets cancer, okay? So why even buy anything with their product? Well, besides that lawsuit, there's like thousands more all across the country. Well, there was a really big court case where, that a lot of these things that are decided can have a precedence. And in a blow to Bayer, which bought Monsanto, so now they're even bigger, judged to allow controversial evidence in Roundup cancer trial. So that means that maybe even evidence that in the California trial the judge there didn't allow, that the judge is going to allow it in this other trial. And more information is coming out. And not just that, but this Roundup is an antibiotic. I talked how we're putting antibiotics every day in our meat. And by the way, Purdue, they had their organic chicken nuggets recalled. Well, we talked about Purdue over and over again. Do not buy Purdue chicken, okay? Buy from your local farmer, buy a different brand, but don't buy Purdue. They forced the Department of Agriculture to lessen the regulations for animals. And this is what one organic farmer says about what it means to be a poultry farmer nowadays, an organic poultry farmer. They say certified organic poultry no longer means that birds must have a minimum requirement for spacing, so they might naturally carry out their instincts to hunt and peck or take dust baths. Certified organic poultry no longer means that birds must be slaughtered in a humane fashion, which includes short travel times to processing facilities and a quick end of life. Being a certified organic poultry farmer in 2019 means dirt. No, seriously. To quote a statement released by the American Pastured Poultry Producers Association, when the government has to define the meanings of soil and the outdoors, it's clear that the intent of organic poultry production has become adulterated. In March of 2018, a finalized set of rules titled Organic Livestock and Poultry Practices, this is last year, was struck down by the Trump administration and not implemented into the National Organic Program. Now, I wonder who influenced them. Maybe Purdue, the biggest chicken producer in the country. Let's see. These rules would have clearly set forth precedents on what outdoor space really means, and that concrete porches would no longer be considered sufficient outdoor space. That certified organic chicken you bought at the grocery store last week never ate a blade of grass in its life, but under our current NOP regulations, a bird raised on pasture at Feisty Acres is equivalent to that sad, tasteless Cornish cross that never stepped foot outdoors. Yeah, that's why I will not buy that chicken. I'm buying my chicken from a local farmer who's also the assistant superintendent of Etowah School District. And his son goes to Montessori High School that teaches organic farming. And they raise that out in the desert on their ranch. And those chickens, I get them, they're 9 months old. They're not 6 weeks like the ones you get in the store. And they give those chickens, you know, how come the chicken I'm getting is 9 months and the one in the store is 6 weeks? Well, because they fed that chicken antibiotics every single day of its life so that it would get bigger faster. So if you're eating antibiotics, you're getting bigger faster because you're destroying your good gut bacteria, for one thing. And plus, it's destroying all the bacteria in the environment. And I have been saying, I bet there's something to that. Well, I found out that there are bacteria in our environment that actually prevent frost. Yeah, you know that thing that destroys plants? It prevents frost. And so and I'll never forget a story of where I went to a farm in San Diego. It was 40 years ago. And these people were like hippies and experimenting with biodynamic. And they had a plant that was at a lower elevation that had frost damage. And yet they had another plant at a higher elevation that had no frost damage. And I'll never forget what he said to this day, because I knew at the time it was important. He said that that plant did not have damage because they had started using biodynamic techniques, which is actually one higher than organic. And what they found was that the compost, which had a special bacteria in it, that something about that bacteria had protected that plant from frost. Well, I actually have a research paper right here that says that they had isolated some bacteria on a plant leaf that kept that plant leaf from getting frost, from getting it damaged. And yet, we're going and destroying all of these different things. Can you find Dr. Lundgren? It's the one right after that. Dr. Lundgren, he has Blue Dasher Farms. He's been doing all this research. His research actually collaborated that. And what we're doing on these conventional farms, we're adding to global warming. Sustainable farming, which takes up something like 40% of the global land mass, is agriculture. You've got to know that is huge. We have got to change to sustainable organic farming practices. And one of the things Dr. Lundgren says is that no-till is the most important thing. And let's hear from him on why no-till is so important.
But the reality is that when you kill one of the main outcomes of tillage is you kill the biology in your soil. And when you kill that biology in your soil, and then you come in and you plant a monoculture of a single plant species that's genetically oftentimes very limited because we've selected for crops that are produce large seeds at the expense of many other traits in that plant. When you do that, when you till the soil, kill the biology, and then you plant a monoculture, guess what the first thing to colonize that field is? It's the primary pest. And you've just eliminated a lot of the biology that's there normally to resist the proliferation.
Okay. We're not even taking into consideration what's going on in that soil. And as soon as we start breaking it up, we're breaking up all these pathways of fungi. And we actually found, there's research finding that you can control weeds with fungi. And yet we're destroying that. I just created a new graphic today because after I listened to Dr. Lundgren do another lecture, he was talking about that crickets, mealybugs, you know, those centipedes, these different insects are actually eating wheat seeds. They're killing the bad bugs, and they're eating wheat seeds. So these little bugs that we thought were, I actually like crickets. I let some of them live in my house. But they're actually eating other bad bugs. They don't bother me at all. They sing me songs. And But crickets are they're predators. They're eating the type of things that you don't want in your garden. Plus, they're eating weed seeds. And they actually cut open the stomachs. I don't know how they do that. They cut open the stomachs of crickets, and also there are these special beetles too that are really good at that. They do so many things. They're creating holes in the ground that actually allow the water to go in. They're creating other like fertilization within the soil besides like killing the bad bugs and eating weeds. And then besides that, there are other bacteria in the environment. This one like totally blew me away. There's other bacteria in the environment that they found collect water particles. Yes, they actually collect water particles, so these bacteria are responsible for making it rain. And yet, we're out there spraying pesticides on everything that's killing those bacteria too. And we have these droughts. And we're spraying it on our forests, we're spraying it on our cropland, we're spraying it on our homes, we're spraying it around our cities. I mean, why are we like decontaminating everything? You hear that kids that live, and I read another research paper on this recently, kids that live in a sterile environment never develop the antibodies in their body that they need. Their gut never becomes fully developed. They need to be exposed to all these different things. My kids picked up and ate a handful of dirt. I didn't freak out. They dropped their thing on the floor. It's like, okay. It's like, I wanted them to get exposed because I knew this back then. And yet we're just like raising our kids in these sterile environments with hand wipes and all these different things. And we had like some really great products on one of our past shows that they use eucalyptus oil instead of these other chemicals. And they got rid of triclosan and replaced it with chemicals that they didn't even know if they worked. They didn't even know if they were safe. And I went and looked for a follow-up report on that, and I can't find anything. So everyone's just kind of letting it go and let them use those chemicals in their hand sanitizers. All of this is going into our skin. And when you use that on a small child, none of these chemicals are tested. Those baby products, none of that is tested when mixed together. They're tested in isolation. And they're not tested on a child. They're tested on an adult man. That's it. We don't even know. And when a child is so small, the concentration that goes in their body is much stronger. And so, the side effects are going to be much stronger. And children have gotten sick from those sand sanitizers. So, what are we saying? I've got another commercial I'm going to be reviewing from Panera, and I notice Panera Bread, and I notice a lot of other companies are starting to use this and claiming their food is clean. Okay? Clean is not clean food to me unless it has no pesticides in it and it's organic or sustainable agriculture or biodynamic. And those foods aren't. And they're claiming they're clean. They are not clean. Okay? You have to fight for your body. You want good health? You want to live a long time? Okay, you could just take your chances and do whatever, or you could start to make the odds be in your favor and start to fight for yourself, for your body, fight for yourself, fight for your family to have the best foods. What's really important? Going down and buying stuff you don't even need, or taking care of that body that you have to live in every second of every day, and determines whether you get sick or not and how long you live. So that's just the way it is. And I'm here to try to help you. I want you to have a good life. I don't want you to suffer. So I hope that you learned something from the show today and that you're going to be joining us again next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, and you're going to be finding us on smarthealthtalk.com, on our social media, subscribing to us on YouTube, and go and find us on Facebook because we're posting stuff there all the time that we don't get to on the show. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm your host, Elaine McFadden, and I'm going to ask you to please buy organic. please go to try to make it down to your farmer's market, everyone. You're helping prevent global warming, and you're doing great things for yourself. Thank you so much. Bye.
My newfound hippie side. Once ignored these conspiracies.